Hello and welcome to this packed video tutorial. My name is Samuel. I'll be your host on this whole journey and I will guide you to getting your React Native application up and running in no time. As you can see here, this is the Facebook github.io/React Native page. Now, quick notes, it takes a little bit longer on Windows to set up than Mac, and you can also not actually test iOS on Windows unless you have a virtual machine. But we're not going to be covering any of that. So if you're on Windows, I recommend testing on Android, and if you're on Mac, then you're free to test on Android or iOS. I'm on Mac, so we'll be operating with Mac. Now, this to the right is my terminal, and the first thing I usually do on this is actually just navigate to the desktop. And as you can see from this ls, this is actually the desktop. It just has two things on it. And now we're just going to initialize a new React Native project. And the way we do that is just React Native init, and then we'll just say whatever the project name. You can name your project whatever you want. For this, I'm going to name our project RN Skills.
In the meantime, let's talk about why you would want to learn React Native in the first place. Now, I don't know if you're like me, but a lot of my friends, when we get together in dinners and stuff and we have conversations, we come up with all sorts of great application ideas that are actually not that difficult to build. Now, those conversations, I feel like most people have them and they just end up going nowhere for most scenarios. And what I've found more and more in my life is I've been more and more able to turn those conversations into actual applications that work, that are ready to go, and I can actually demo them using Exponent.js, so I can actually have my friends download them, and our lives are just a little bit better because what was once in our head is now in our hands.
All right, so if you actually want to, you can follow the installation process of React Native into your new project, and this is basically what it looks like in the terminal. But this takes a little while, so we're gonna put this aside for a minute and talk about a couple of things we're gonna cover in this course. All right, initializing your React Native project. We've touched on how to go React Native init and then project name. And lastly, we're going to touch on how to go React Native run project. So run-ios would be the exact syntax, but we'll touch on that in a minute. Actually, what we're going to talk about now is the structure, the architecture of an application. So that would be building the backend, building the front end at the same time, or having the backend built and then building the front end that connects to it. And then the hardest part for me typically is the middleware, which is when you're connecting the back and the front end. This is usually when you get the most errors. Finally, on this, you can actually build games in React Native. My friend and I built 3 games in 3 days, 5 games in 5 days, sorry. And it actually is, it's a lot more difficult than building a SaaS application in my opinion. It's just so much more logic. But definitely doable. We can definitely cover that in the future. Here's a rundown of the syntax in React Native. We kind of skip through that really quickly, but mostly it's JavaScript, and then we have occasional unique syntax to React Native, and then we also get the occasional Node package manager pulls from GitHub, and we're going to talk about all of that during the course of this course. All right, so what we touched on in this course thus far, we've touched on initializing a React Native project, using Facebook Docs as a learning resource, and also the workflow that it takes to have a sample React Native project. In the next course, we will be talking about testing your application on iOS and Android. Hope you guys are having a good day. See you in the next tutorial.
Water.
Water?
Yeah, water. We only serve paying customers, so you'll have to order more than water. If you're broke, go somewhere else.
50 dumplings. Is it a deal?
Huh?
You feed me, and I'll take care of those guys for you.